Um, soon. It'll be done soon. But I think we're back. Should be live. Maybe we'll give people a couple seconds to to grab in here. But yeah, it's been like 2 weeks and stuff. Do you remember how to co-host anymore?
No. Did you just call me?
What?
Did you just call me the wrong name?
I don't think I said a name.
Oh, okay.
I see Josh. I don't think I said his name though.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know what the hell I do anymore.
No, I don't remember how to co-host. Can you give me the cliff notes really quick?
No, because I don't remember how to host.
Oh, okay.
Man, I haven't.
Neither does your computer apparently.
Yeah, right. Computer crashing. I've got this freaking shin straps going on. Someone in the stream the other day called it a freaking goatee. I don't have a goatee, guys. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not that talented.
That involves mustache usage there.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. It's in a. I'm not genetically talented enough for that. You know.
Genetic. Well, you didn't get my DNA in that part, son.
All right, it looks like we got people in here. Yeah, okay, so stream's going. So, oh, I heard beeps and then beeps. Are we good? Oh no, yeah. iTunes is freaking out. iTunes, get out, get off. You're gonna crash my computer again. We don't need this. We don't need this, iTunes.
We have an update.
We have an update.
Would you like to update everything?
Oh no. Quit! I don't want to sync my phone. Abort. Get off of my computer. I don't need you. Stream probably just lagged like a whole bunch. I think we're good. Maybe. I think we're good. Welcome everyone in chat. This is a disaster. I totally forgot how to life these last 3 weeks. Finals and then so much Destiny content. It's been a mess. Welcome everyone. Great to see enthusiasm about the channel and chat. I love it. But yeah, here we go. Episode 44, like we said before this whole thing crashed, joined by Jay-Z as always. We've already done all this. There we go. We both are unsure about our roles in this thing that we call a podcast or a weekly series or what have you. But we're going to talk about stuff, and I hope you guys talk back with us because that would be awesome. But yeah, we missed like 3 whole weeks. We kind of talked about the Masterwork stuff whenever it was first announced. But as you guys can see, we have to go over the Curse of Osiris itself, the Eater of Worlds raid, and the Dawning, which launches next week, and a whole bunch of mini updates in between. So we're going to jump right into it. The first thing, the Curse of Osiris. So just right off the bat, we're obviously doing some of the story missions in the background right now. I thought it was very well done. The story was sort of shallow. It felt kind of unimportant in the grand scheme of things. But it added a lot of stuff. I love the Vex. I think they were... That final boss, Panoptes, was probably my favorite end campaign boss of all time. He was very well done. Aesthetically, mechanically. That fight, you know, you have Osiris come in and help you. It's freaking fantastic. Mercury's cool. It's a bit small. Infinite Force is a huge letdown with the fact that you can't go in there whenever the hell you want. So yeah, that's kind of my general thoughts on it. Jay-Z, on everything I hit on, just give your 2 or 10 cents or whatever. Just run through it.
I can only give 2 cents.
Yeah, maybe 4.
Can I give 73 cents? Would that be better?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay. So story was alright. I wanted them to flesh a little bit more of Osiris out in the story than what they did.
Oh, actually, just to interject there, I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday they announced that they're actually doing a web-based comic book series for Destiny.
I did see something about that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be completely free, and I think it launches next week on Bungie.net. And the first issue or first couple of issues are going to center around Osiris and Ikora. And they actually got people who like work for Marvel to do the art and the writing and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
well, I saw that. I just didn't read I didn't read any further into the.
Yeah. So, but your story, it's coming.
Yeah. I wish it was in the game though. Like that. I guess that's kind of the.
It's the recurring theme in Destiny, man. We got to keep it out.
Yeah, I know. I just So I love the past, like the beautiful. I think we might be hitting it here soon. I can't remember what part of the story.
Yeah. I think next mission we go visit it.
But the past is awesome. The future is kind of cool, seeing the sun kind of burn out and stuff like that. But they don't really dive too deeply into either of those. And if they weren't going to do that, I would have rather had them give you a little bit more backstory on Osiris or give you something with him, and I guess I was a little let down by that.
On that note, one thing I will say is the alternate present is it's a huge letdown. I hate it. It's just, I don't know why anyone would ever go there. Like, anytime there's a mission that ends up there, I just kind of speed through it. But when I'm in the past or the future, I kind of take my time. You know, the future also has Saint 14 and his tomb and stuff you can check out as well. And then the past, you can see like the Traveler off in the distance and all this really awesome stuff. Like, I like what they did there. The alternate present just sucks. I don't know why it's a thing. I don't know why we need an alternate version. Just stay where we are, you know?
Plus, I was just... the Infinite Forest just was, like you said, was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
The patrol zone is not very big at all. I thought it would be bigger than what it was.
Right.
I was kind of a little... Like, that did not make me happy.
The public event's really good, though. Yes, I have to give them that.
So I will say, like, this is the Crota expansion for Destiny 2. I will say it's better than Crota was. The Dark Below, not Crota. To me, it's better than that. But I'm not playing the game as much as I was back then, like in Destiny 1 during Crota, where, you know, we were doing Vault of Glass every week 3 times, and we're doing Crota every week 3 times. And while the raids are fun in this one, it just doesn't, like, the raid, and we'll get to the raid later, but it was decent. Like, it wasn't terrible, and it wasn't like, I was hoping it would be a little bit better, I guess. I think that was
I think for the, you know, because when this would have started development, they wouldn't really have had feedback from the launch of Destiny 2. It's a very limited time frame for them to make it. I will agree that in size and scope and story importance and stuff, it's very similar to Crota. There's obviously more story missions. We got one more strike than we got with Crota. I feel like it's more fleshed out than Crota, but that should be expected after 3 whole years of Destiny. Are you kidding me? Oh, wait. Oh, okay. I thought the stream crashed again.
Yeah, I thought it did too.
Okay. I think we're good. No one panic. Let's see. I'm going to type this refresh if your stream went black. It's still going. I just want to...
So to continue on that while you're typing...
I'm done already. But I feel like it's a more fleshed out version of Crota. It's what Dark Below should have been. It makes me excited for this new expansion. You know, they obviously have another month or 2 longer to work on it than they did this one. Yeah. So it should be even more fleshed out. I think... Oh, go ahead.
So, like, when Crota rolled around in Destiny 1, I was upset because they changed all the weapons, they gave new stock to everything, all the vendors, all the, you know, Vanguard...
Right.
So, like, because I had only had 3 months with those weapons prior. Now I'm like, since we have those static rolls, I was hoping that we would have a full refresh of stock this time around, and they just added new weapons.
They added some. I like that they added some, but the thing that I like even more than that was the ornament systems. That kind of adds a new grindy bit to it. I found myself, like, I never played competitive Crucible, but now to get the ornament which requires 25 wins for Crucible, I've been going in there. It adds more of an end game aspect to it, which I like a lot.
If you want that ornament, though, that's the thing.
Like, that's also it. I'm a completionist. I'll never wear it. I'm not even gonna keep those armor sets. But I'll get the ornaments. I'll grind them out for all of them. I personally like... We'll talk about this later. I personally like how the raid ornament sets are ornaments and not a completely new armor set, especially for the size and the scope of the raid. And like I said, we'll talk about that in a bit. I like that. I agree. I think the kind of... The static rolls definitely takes away from the end game a little bit. I think Masterworks are going to go a long way to fix that. And I think that the ornament system is also going to help fix that as well. It's it's not the best case scenario, but it's the next best thing. So or at least in my opinion. So I think the next thing that we should talk about is kind of, it's still interworked with this DLC, is Bungie's response rate with this DLC. You know, Masterworks are a great example of this. No more duplicate exotics, or less duplicate exotics. You have the changes to Xur. You have the locked out content scandal. Scandal. That's such a dumb word. I shouldn't have used that. Controversy. Let's go with that. But then I think that Bungie is really showing their true colors, and I appreciate it when they're immediately smacking down any rumors and fixing it as quickly as they can. I think a good example of this is the Prometheus lens launched broken in Crucible, and instead of being silent, if that would have happened in Destiny 1, it would have been a problem for weeks. Nothing would have happened. But what did they do? The very next day they had Xur sell it, and then they nerfed it down immediately too far so they can go back and re-examine it when they get back from their break. I think that is a fantastic move. I think Bungie's really starting to listen. I think that they're being more, they're communicating. Christopher Bear and Deej are always on Twitter being like, no, this will, with the dawning and stuff, this will come with this, or this is not something you should be worried about. This is something we're looking at for future updates, or blah, blah, blah. I like where Bungie is at right now. Not only is this a more fleshed out version of the Dark Below DLC, Bungie is a more fleshed out version of themselves and what we would like them to be. And I like that. That's very important to me as a consumer.
So your vanilla Destiny hard mode raid dropped for Faulty Glass. Vex Mythoclast was super overpowered. I think it took them a week, maybe 2 weeks to fix that, or they nerfed the heck out of it and they never relooked at it. That's the thing with the Vex is I wish they would have relooked at it like they're gonna hopefully do with this. But they did work pretty quick for the Vex. But some of the other exotics that were overpowered, like the Last Word with that aim down sights glitch that they had, the Thorn, it took them until their next DLC update for them to fix that. Which
did you play in Crucible with the Prometheus lens?
I did not. I didn't want to even touch Crucible.
It was insane.
I was not about that life.
I mean, faster time to kill than the Vex Mythoclast in its time. It was just
and it's no fun when everybody's using the exact same weapon.
That's true. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I liked it because it's like, I don't know. It was kind of like Mayhem, but now they're bringing that back, which we'll talk about in a bit. I don't know. I really liked it. It was just fun. I don't know. I really enjoyed the short amount of time that I spent in Crucible with it. I thought was pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. The Masterwork stuff. Have you grinded out Masterworks? Do you have a lot of them?
I've got probably 7 or 8 to drop. I haven't put one on any of the guns. I just now got enough to put one on, which I'm gonna put on my Nameless Midnight, for PvE.
Right.
But I haven't too much. I mean, to me, other than the orb generation, the stat rolls don't add too much. I don't know about and mostly I keep seeing reload or
reload handling are really big ones.
And then
on my rocket launcher, I have velocity. I think is a pretty important one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So I was talking with Josh, and he said he talked to you, and that you guys thought it was a percentage, not an actual number added to the stat.
Yes, and I think we have pretty solid backing for that. Because you either get 5 or 10.
Yeah.
And we were looking at our numbers in DIM where you can see the actual numbers, and it was. I mean, 10s were closer to 9.5%, but they were fairly consistently pretty much at that number plus or minus a percent of error, which could be easily caused by rounding up or rounding down.
Yeah.
I think it's a brilliant system. I blew 5,000 freaking exotic shards or legendary shards just on that first day, just going through. I had a lot of fun. It was pretty cool. I also think the rarity's just about right, in my opinion. It's still a grind. It's nothing crazy, but it's still a good grind. And I think the orb generation is 1,000,000,000% game changing, though. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I want to use it for, especially in the raid activities. I think it'll because I know because you can start picking them up after you create your second orb. What was it?
I think you can just start picking them up right off the bat. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, we weren't sure how effective they were going to be, and so Josh and I and another clanmate, Turtles, we loaded into a strike, And Turtles had 3 orbs over the entire strike, and Josh and I both had 36. It's like, it was just from Masterworks. I mean, it's crazy in the in the raid, and it's very well worked out system there. I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest. So that's pretty cool. What else did they add? I don't think they added anything else too important with that. You have the 3 of coins with Zur. I haven't had a chance to test those out yet.
Yeah, I bought some. I haven't popped any. I guess I probably shouldn't pop them during these.
Yeah, not during missions. Is there anything else? I don't know. They adjusted some drop rates. I guess one thing that we should talk about are the new exotics with the with this expansion. And one thing I was really disappointed about, they brought back the Telesto and the Jade Rabbit. Mm-hmm. And they're both just kind of bad. I mean, the Telesto, it's usable. It's kind of where the Telesto's always been. You can use it, but why? It's not worth an exotic slot to me. And the Jade Rabbit's just like worse than half the legendaries in the game. And I feel like at this point, I'm kind of over them bringing exotics back. Save the Red Death. We'll talk about that in a second. Obviously, that's my favorite exotic ever right now. But I feel like I'm cool with them bringing back exotics as long as they kind of remix it and stuff. But for the most part, I feel like when they bring back exotics and they're useless, I feel like it's just filler. And that development time should have went towards new exotics. You know, if you can sacrifice 3 returning exotics to give us 1 brand new fresh exotic, I think that's worth it. Especially if it's viable. Like I said, the one exception is the Red Death. They made it a hand cannon. It feels, to me, nearly identical to how the Red Death felt. Obviously, the range is not the same, but other than that, it's gorgeous. It's perfect. I love my Crimson. I'm going to call it the Red Death for the rest of eternity. It's awesome. Definitely my favorite exotic in Destiny 2. It's really good in Crucible, really good in PvE. Well worth the exotic slot. Yeah, so I think the exotics as a whole were kind of half and half. You had the Prometheus lens, which was really awesome. You had the Crimson, which was really awesome. You had the Colony, which is amazing, fantastic. And then you had Jade Rabbit and Telesto, which were pretty not very good. So
yeah. I think that you might be in the minority on the Telesto though, because I've heard from other people that it's pretty good.
I mean, in PvE, it doesn't do as much damage as the Merciless, and in PvP, it doesn't do as consistent damage as a main ingredient.
Oh yeah, I mean those are like burst damage. Plus, there's more I think a crowd control type weapon.
But then you can make that. See, I was trying to take like keeping like the fusion rifle, but if you want to make the crowd control argument, then just go Dubious Folly or Ward of Coil. People get so mad at me when I call it the Dubious Folly. The Ward of Coil. And I mean that'll beat it 10 out of 10 times. It's the thing, like it's good if you take it and you isolate it, it's good. But when you compare exotics to other exotics or even other legendaries, I feel like it shouldn't be just kind of meh. You know, like you can take the Crimson Hand Cannon and you can compare it to the Better Devils. You can compare it to the whatever the Future War Cult one is. You can compare it to the Midnight Coup, and it's still better. But if you take something like the Telesto and you compare it to other things, it's just on par, if not worse. And I feel like exotics should never be in that state. In my opinion, obviously there has to be exotics that are worse than other ones, but I just kind of not purposely, you know? Like I just feel like the Telesto is kind of, and they took away the orb generation on the Telesto too.
Yeah, so but they brought so you can empty your primary and secondary and then get a multi-kill and it reloads both weapons, so which can be useful in certain situations.
Yeah, I don't know. I get where it can be useful. It's kind of like the Fighting Lion. Why would I ever use it if I can use a Last Hope?
Well, let's not compare the Telesto to the Fighting Lion.
I'm gonna do it. I'm unhinged.
They're a little bit in different classes there.
But I think the same thing can be said, you know, like, or let's say the Graviton Lance. Like, if you put enough time into mastering a weapon, regardless of how bad it is, you're gonna learn how a weapon plays and when it plays well. But the thing that makes exotics good to me is not how I can do well with these if I put infinite amount of time into it. It's how well I can do with it if I just pick it up and start using it. A good exotic will show itself right off the bat. And the Red Death took 0 time, or the Crimson took 0 time to do it. You know, the Merciless, the Wordcliff Coil, the all of these things, they're just good right off the bat. You know, you don't have to.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you to an extent. Well, like, so the Telesto looks like they become, when they're on the ground, they become like landmines almost. If they don't explode right away. So that is actually an improvement over what it was before.
Yeah, I will say that's the one functionality I do like, is the trip mine-esque kind of behavior. But even that, like, they only last on the ground for like 7-ish seconds, maybe a little bit longer.
But I mean, it's better than just like detonating and you lose that whole thing if you don't hit them with it. So
right.
Yeah, I will agree with you to an extent of exotic should feel exotic. They should be a step ahead of, like, not like a huge step, but a step above legendary weapons.
Right.
But I feel like the exotic, or the Telesto, has its place in that as being a crowd control weapon.
Maybe. Okay, I can see where there's a niche for it, but like, there's zero argument to be made for a Jade Rabbit. You know, like that type of thing should never be in the game. Things like the Graviton Lance, amazing concept. But any playtester should have been like, this is just not worthy of being called an exotic. You know, it doesn't have it. It's got its little quirks, and those quirks ruin the entire weapon. The thing with the Jade Rabbit is you need body shots to get a super powerful headshot. But even when that perk procs, it kills in the same number of kills, or shots.
Yeah.
So
they literally did nothing to that weapon to improve it, to do anything different from Destiny 1, and that was a disappointment, because they did rework some of the other exotic like armor pieces, you know, and they, you know, messed up with a few of the perks. Like, I think the Mida is pretty much the same as it was in Destiny 1 as far as...
Nah, man, they put high calibers back on that.
Well, yeah, but like high calibers don't do as much as they used to, so...
Yeah, that's fair. But I think the Mida is a really good example of what I'm trying to say. Like, you know, there's not really a learning curve with the Mida. You pick it up and you're good with it, right? And I think everyone gets so defensive when I call the Fighting Lion or the Prospector, you know, kind of on the lower end of exotics. But honestly, if something requires a learning curve to use it effectively, it's probably not that good. I'm sure there's...
But it makes it fun, too, because it gives the people that... Like,
I get that, but fun doesn't always equal utility, you know?
Yeah, like, I understand. Like, you don't want to use it in high-level activities, but it can be a fun strike weapon. Like,
right, yeah. But
something like that.
I'm just trying to prepare people for the exotic tier list I'm working on.
Yeah.
It's just because something's fun, or because something has like a weird niche, doesn't make it better than an exotic that you can literally use it in every activity.
Well,
you know?
But I mean, the Mida was pretty much built to be the best of everything for
that's also fair, yeah.
Like, it doesn't have really any exotic perks. It just has the best of pretty much everything, like, combined. So like you've got, you know, the highest aim down sights, the highest equip speed, the highest reload speed, plus high caliber rounds, plus,
and
you know,
high
radar
assist as well.
Yeah. So like that's basically its exotic perk, is it's got the best of everything all wrapped into one. So I would have rather had them create another scout rifle that had some kind of cool perk, personally, but like, plus, you know, it ruled Crucible for the first month and a half of the game. There's that too, but so at least like with the Telesto and the Fighting Lion and stuff like that, they have a perk that's unique to that weapon type and to that weapon itself, which like, at least you can give them that for, you know, for creativity as far as exotic weapons go. Right.
No, I agree with that. It's just I want them to be more creative, and I feel like development time on... I was talking to some of our claymates today, and I think for the most part, I'm done with exotics from Destiny 1. If anything comes back, there's 3 more that I would like to see. Like, I wouldn't be disappointed if they came back. Thorn, in some, obviously not in its original thing, just because of the lore. The Last Word, because freaking... Come on, what are you watching right now? And the Raise Lighter, I would, because we don't have any exotic swords, and I want an
No,
exotic sword.
that's a really weird decision that they haven't put any of those in the game.
We're gonna talk about my theory on that in a
Yeah,
second, because it's part of the raid.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe the same thing as well. Yeah.
But we'll get there. But I mean, that's pretty much gonna wrap up the discussion of the DLC itself, I think. Unless you have anything else to add.
No, it wasn't very. There wasn't a super ton of content to talk about. So.
I actually want to kind of on that note. I want to delve into community feedback. The first thing would be Ayashiro. He said, "I think this DLC was amazing. It was easily one of the best DLCs in the Destiny universe. Although there was one thing that made me hate it. The boss fight didn't feel like a boss fight, but a puzzle. You killed like 30 ads, picked up an arc charge, slammed it, killed the boss, and repeated the process 2 more times." I kind of agree with that. I think the thing with Bungie though, I think a good way to compare this would be like Marvel movies. Is Marvel movies and Marvel the studio acknowledges this has a huge history of having really weak bad guys. Weak as in like character development. There's obviously some exceptions, but they're usually just like bad versions of like the good guy. And I think Bungie kind of has the same problem. And I think the main reason that happens is because you don't. It happened with Gaul too. You don't want these boss fights to be impossible. You know, you want everyone that goes through them to feel powerful, to complete the story, to feel like a badass, and obviously there's a balance that needs to be struck. And I think that they save like the really tough boss mechanics for a raid, because if you have like a solo player who's never done a raid before and they have to figure out some type of like solo story mission kind of mechanic, I don't think that would go over too well with the common casual. I agree. I wish it was harder, but I get it though. Like I see it, but I don't agree with like the decision. I guess is a weird way to. Jay-Z saved me from this.
Yes. So 2 things to that comment. One, did we play Rise of Iron and Taken King? Because those were far and away the best DLCs for Destiny universe.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. In terms of development, I don't know. I
story and
the concept
like
for this one's pretty cool, but I think there's just a little bit like a layer they could have added to make it feel more important in the Destiny.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I mean, even if you take those 2 DLCs though, they both had really weak initial boss fights. Like the last Oryx one was pretty cool.
Like they're like if you're like, so for me, I played it solo because I wanted to solely focus on the story and get try to, because most of the other ones I just ran through the story, like just ran through. This one I actually wanted to try to pay attention. I wanted to see if there's anything interesting in it, because I knew we'd be talking about it first and foremost. But for myself, I wanted to try to get as much out of it as I could.
Right.
And I was happy that boss wasn't super ridiculously hard, because I didn't really want to sit there and grind that boss for 40 minutes or whatever if it was a hard boss.
That's fair.
So, and like they made it interesting enough to where like it gave you enough of a challenge, but it was more fun, like a fun battle, like not a frustrating battle.
Right. So I think it comes down to most of the point of campaigns is going to be in the story, not in the fight experience. But for raids, you can kind of flip it on its head, where lore is obviously an important point to raids, but it's the mechanics, the experience, the fights are much more integral to the raid experience than compared to something like a campaign mission. And obviously, like you have strikes to kind of fill in the gaps of that. I would say both the strikes have fantastic boss fights, definitely better than like mechanic wise than Panopsies, but
Oh yeah, and I didn't even mention that. I thought it was a really good idea and a really good job of them integrating the strikes within the story.
I agree with that. I thought it was kind of funny how you had people complaining that the strikes were just reused story missions, but that was very deliberate. Them putting them they were built as strikes, but them putting them in there as part of the story, like that's not Bungie reusing content. That was very, very deliberate, I guess, is like I already said.
But that's the thing, is like in DLCs past, you have to do those strikes anyways. They're just a separate mission after you finish the story, and then like, so we already know who this character is and what why. So like, why are we doing the strike after we beat everything involved with this character, involved with this part of the story? So at least this adds the strike into the lore of the DLC, and you do it while you're doing the DLC, so you get to experience both of those, both the strikes that are in this at the same time of going through the storyline. So that was one of their better decisions, and I'm glad that they did that. And I was surprised because when I heard, oh, it's 2 of the story missions, I had initial skepticism too on it, but it panned out pretty well. So
I agree with that. I hope they continue to do that, especially since, like you mentioned, we don't have the director anymore. I think it's a good move that it automatically like puts us into it. I think that's cool. I like it. And I think like the strikes in vanilla sucked, right? There's no bearing on the story. There's no reason to do them. These 2 directly related to what we're doing, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I just did them to get the Nameless Midnight. That's the
only
reason why.
There's no reason to do strikes. They even made them quote unquote more rewarding. I guess to get the amplified signal amplifiers or whatever for the Forge, you have to grind them out, which is pretty. I mean, it gives them a purpose, but they're still just. They're not. Well,
at least they made a playlist or like a legendary playlist this time.
Oh, a heroic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I meant heroic.
No, you're good. Yeah, I think, the next question, or next comment is from Jan Weaver. When we were talking about which exotics I would like to come back, he goes, cough, Bones of Io, cough. That's a good point. I want my bones back. We even saw him in a trailer. I don't know where the hell they went.
But do we need him with mantling now? Because that 4th jump is almost like the mantle now.
Yeah, we need him. It's more of a jumping gap thing, man.
Yeah.
You know? I want my bones back. And people can make the argument, oh, but we have the stompies. It's not the same.
No, because it only works with the double jumps.
Yeah, that's like 1 jump versus 4 jumps. There's a pretty big difference there. I want my bones, man. Let's see. Ayashiro says, I agree with you there, Scarrow, but everything in Destiny is easy because you gain good stuff way too easily. And I think I see what you're saying. I think that's a pretty important part to the power fantasy, though. I feel like the end game, especially with the Masterworks and with the Curse of Osiris, has become a lot more grindy. Ornaments and the raid and stuff we'll get into in a bit. But I think the initial progression through campaign, I will always stand by this. I might not completely agree with it, but I completely understand it. While you're powering up through the campaign, the goal is not to make you grind out. The goal for a campaign for story mode is to give a casual player a good experience. And then the end game is where you focus on your hardcore players, the people that are going to keep coming back every time. And I don't 100% agree with that. I definitely get it. And if that makes my franchise or this franchise more successful in the long run, I'm fine with it. I think that, like I said, Masterworks are about the right rarity. I think that was a great change that it'll definitely separate the hardcore players from the casual players. I think things like giving the ornaments for Iron Banner and the faction rallies, I think that'll do the same thing. Pretty much everyone's going to have the base armor sets, but the people who really devoted time into it are going to have those things and the exotic ornaments and that type of stuff. So I see where you're coming from. I just think there's another layer there that kind of works to remedy that problem, in my opinion.
It's a good start.
It's a good, it's not the ideal situation, but I mean, it's a great start. And if you think about it, in Destiny 1, there was never really like an insane grind either. Oh, you can make the argument for the random rolls, and that was definitely more grindy than this, but not the grind that people are asking for. That's never been present ever in the Destiny universe.
At this point in time, there was, in Destiny 1's lifespan, there was grinding for planetary materials.
But no one wants that.
Well, I mean, I didn't mind it because I could just pop something on and just go grind, like a YouTube video or music or whatever, and just go solo grind planetary. But I mean, I can understand the average player like, oh my gosh, this is tedious. I can't stand this, that type of thing. So, I understand that. The random rolls was the grind in Destiny 1, and I really enjoyed that.
Right.
Because it just was like anytime a weapon dropped, the first thing you did was open your menu and look at it. I don't have that excitement anymore, in this game, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. But
I see it. I see what you're saying. I still think there's hit and miss moments. I think that moment when I got my final prestige thing for the Leviathan, I got my Warlock helmet. I got that feeling again, the grinding for it. When I got my Red Death, it took me, or my Crimson. People are gonna crucify me over that. When I finally got that, I felt, even though that wasn't like an insane grind, I still felt really good. This is actually Dyslexia's comment in the comments kind of goes towards this. He asked what I think about the Forge, or what we think about the Forge and the grind that Bungie put there. It's not the same because it's not really random per se, but when I managed to get enough materials to do the Saint 14 storyline today, I got kind of like a halfway point of the grind's over, I finally got this kind of thing. I think it's there. Like you said, the start is there. It needs to be fleshed out more. But where we are now is better than where we were 2 months ago, like by miles. And I'm happy with that.
Well, and like, I have faith in Bungie as a developer to continue to improve the game for your hardcore fan base. I'm gonna throw this out there, and I haven't really played it that much, but Division, like, not the greatest game to start out with. It was fun, but once you reached a point, there was nothing else to do. The developers really took that under their wing, and they've been launching free update after free update, adding content, adding things that end game players are wanting, and now that's a completely different game. Like, I haven't played it since they've done that, but a lot of people have said that they've done a really good job, and I'm hoping, Destiny continues to improve upon that and add and grow for its fan base.
Right. I think they will. I think with Christopher Barrett taking the wheel for the minor things, he's been really active on Twitter, saying stuff about like swords with shaders, armor masterworks, this type of stuff. I think we're headed in a way good direction with this.
Yeah.
But that sort of kind of goes into the next thing we're going to talk about, the new raid. Just in terms of replayability and grinding. The new raid is honestly one of my favorite raids, if not like my favorite raid, pretty much of all time. Crota, Jay-Z has always disagreed with me on this. Crota is been pretty consistently one of the only raids, if not the only raid in Destiny 1 where I could just do it over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I think the Eater of Worlds raid layer really it struck that same thing. I've done it 7 times already. I just signed myself up to run it a couple more times on Sunday, even though I won't get any rewards from it. I just genuinely enjoy the raid. Especially the final encounter, Argos Phase 2, where you're actually fighting Argos himself, is just fantastic. I think it's like Axis on like super steroids. I love it. There's so many moving parts. We'll get to your opinions in a second. Keep your groaning to yourself.
I was just yawning. I wasn't groaning. I don't know what
you're... There's a lot of moving parts. There's the hero moments. There's the rewards are there. I wish there was one more chest. There's 2 chests. Excuse me. I think the encounter is really well done. Both Argos Phase 1 and Phase 2, I think, are just perfectly done in terms of... I can't think of anything else they could add to make those encounters better. I just love it, man. I'm having so much fun with this raid. And I don't mind having to grind out. Now, that being said, the Titan armor set looks a little bit ridiculous. I have every part but the helmet. I'm actually, after I talk to Ikora here, I'm going to go to my character screen just to kind of give people an idea if you haven't seen it. The Hunter looks pretty good. It looks more like the Prison of Elders armor set. The Warlock looks pretty darn good. The Titan set just, it's pretty whack, to say the least. One sec here. I'm going to go ahead and log out. I'm going to show you guys. Like I said, I have everything but the helmet. The helmet is like the most ridiculous part, though. I think Jay-Z.
I have the Titan helmet.
So I can put it on. Whenever we log into the next mission, we'll check out Jay-Z's helmet. But the reward, it's pretty good in terms of how rewarding it is. I average pretty consistently 2 items per raid. Sometimes you only get 1, but you gotta have variation, I guess. Come on, if it'll show it. Yeah, look at this. I look like the freaking Michelin Man. It's just, I don't know. It strikes me the wrong way. I don't like it that much. But I don't like it aesthetically, but I like how it fits the theme of, you know, the Leviathan, the armor was like this royal, majestic, golden purple, and now we have something that looks like someone who would work in an engine room in a sci-fi adventure fantasy world would wear. And I like that a lot. I like how it fits the aesthetic. It fits the idea and the themes. I don't like how it looks though. And then here I'll look at Jay-Z's after I invite him back to my game. But just while my only problem with the raid is it might take a little bit too long to get everything. Like I said, you pretty much get two pieces per character per week, maybe one. And then there's only 2 weapons as well, the shotgun and the grenade launcher, which is kind of a disappointment in itself. I'm glad that there's not as many. Yeah, look at this helmet. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. There's only 2 weapons, which I like because it lessens the loot pool so you get more armor drops, but it's kind of disappointing because you have less weapons to use, really. So that's more of a give and take situation. But yeah, overall, fantastic raid. Like I said, it's like I have fights with myself pretty regularly about this might be my favorite raid of all time. And I will admit I have a pretty severe problem of recency bias. This has been a thing throughout the history of Destiny 1 where I get a new raid and I'm just like, yes, I love it. It's my favorite. And then after a while, it goes down. The only time that did not happen was Oryx. I've always pretty much despised that raid just because the last encounter. And I think that's one thing with me I've noticed is, you know, a lot of the raid experience for me comes from beating the final boss. I know that in terms of mechanics and in terms of encounter numbers and how fleshed out it is, the beginning of Eater of Worlds isn't that good. But the final boss, it just makes it, man. It's so good. You get the mechanics and the memory and it just makes it. And I feel like, for example, I would like King's Fall a lot more. You know, I really like the beginning encounters of King's Fall. War Priest, Golgoroth are both fantastic. Some of my favorite encounters. But you get Oryx, and Oryx just destroys it for me. And I think, same thing with the Leviathan. You know, first time through, I love the Leviathan. But then you start seeing problems with it. You know, I really like Gauntlet. It gets a little bit tedious, but I like it for the most part. I love dogs. And Bats is pretty good as well. And Callus, you know, the first couple of times you do it is really fun. But it's just kind of like, it hits you like a ton of bricks after a while, and you just don't want to do it. And there's just stupid mistakes being made, and there's so many moving parts. And I just feel like the way Axis and Argos are made, it's not as much of a problem as it is in those other other raids. Kind of like Atheon, you know, there's a lot of moving parts, but Atheon never really got old, in my opinion at least. It was a good encounter. So I really like this raid, and like I said, I think a very large part of this is through the going through the just because of the final boss is really good. What do you think, Jay-Z?
Okay, so I'm gonna start with positives.
Okay.
My biggest complaint so far in Destiny 2 with raiding, there has been no sub-bosses in either raid. I'm a big fan of sub-bosses, but on the other hand, this is a raid layer, and I enjoy the puzzle aspect because literally, like, the last 3 raids we just played on Tuesday, was it Wednesday? Anyways, we played 3 raids back to back to back. And basically the first 2 to 3 encounters, you can just BS with your team the entire time. You know, you can joke around, have fun, you know, and it's all building up to that final encounter. So like, those are moments I enjoy in previous raids, like, you know, the jumping puzzles or whatever, but it's pretty much the entire raid up until the final fight is kind of that, like, you're just having fun, joking around, you know, playing with each other, that type of thing.
Right.
So I enjoy that aspect of it. I think it will get old after a while, but luckily it only takes 15 minutes or so to get to the final boss at the most.
That final boss encounter. Did you ever get sick of Axis?
No, and that's I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
So, It's my second least favorite raid. Scaro and I kind of are opposite on raids. Like
no, it's not kind of. We are. Oh,
we are
rip.
completely opposite.
I just tore out my headphones. Give me a second. I got so passionate about raids. I don't know how much they heard out. There's probably going to be a weird echo for a second because you were playing through my speakers and stuff. But it is. I mean, we are like directly opposite with how we view raids.
Crota is by far my least favorite raid.
It's like.
This is my second least favorite raid. And
would you go King's Fall, Vault of Glass?
No, King's Fall, Axis, Vault of Glass.
Okay, Axis is my second favorite too. Yeah. So in Destiny 1, but that's a different episode.
Well, no, this is overall. This is overall raids. I would. So this might be ahead of Callus just because I like the boss battle better than Callus.
Okay.
But I like the encounters leading up to Callus better than this, obviously.
Right.
But these aren't meant to really be encounters. They're meant to just be like gateways or pathways to the final boss. So
right.
I'll probably end up liking this more than Callus. And not that I hated like that's the thing is I don't hate Callus. I actually enjoy Callus. But to me, the three main raids other than Crota and Destiny 1 were better for me.
Right.
Front to back, they had sub bosses. Oryx had 2 sub bosses, which
that's it. I agree with you. I want sub bosses.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think if we're not gonna have sub bosses, the creativity in some of these different dogs in purple pillar things in the Eater of Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are that's the next best thing to having a sub boss in my opinion. Like super creative, not really tedious yet.
So to continue on that point. Axis is my favorite boss battle, period. In any Destiny game, final boss, he has 2 forms. The teamwork is insane, and it's a fun battle. This would probably be my second favorite overall boss battle. And then Atheon being a close third, and then. But I would say
is Oryx like your last favorite boss battle? Do you like the Oryx final fight
either that or Callus?
Better?
So here's the thing. The Oryx Arena is one of my favorite ones, period. Right. I love the Oryx Arena. I think it's beautiful. I think the mechanics of getting to it, like where you have to jump on the plates and one person has to help the one person get across the pillars, or you jump on the pillars to help the person get across the plates. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
But I love that whole aspect of that. I wish they would have had we had to do that, then we could damage Oryx in a damage phase, kind of like this boss is. Had that happened, Oryx would be #1 by far. But he's probably one of my least favorites, if not the least favorite boss battle. But the raid itself, like the encounters leading up to it, obviously is my favorite.
Yeah.
So, that being said, I enjoy the battle. I enjoy the teamwork aspect of it. Like I said, I liked Axis better. I thought Axis was a more fleshed out boss battle, but I think the arena's cool in this one, but sometimes the jumping isn't perfect in Destiny 2.
I think my main problem, I think you'll agree with this, with the huge arena like that, is the frame drops are incredible sometimes.
Well, not just that. When they frame drop when I'm in the middle of jumping, because I've been running the Skull recently, which I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And so when running the Skull, you have to be constantly jumping around the map, and every time a frame kicks, I don't get that jump off, and he just kind of does a quick bunny hop and then falls off the edge. So that's. But I enjoyed the encounter. It got a little frustrating when we were still kind of learning the tactics, but it wasn't as frustrating as Callus, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about Callus is, I don't know, I really like it. I still like it better than the Oryx final fight. There's just something about it. It seems buggy, but I don't think buggy's the right word.
But the thing about Callus, though, is you have damage phase, so that's
that's why I like it better than the Oryx.
Yeah, and I'll agree with that. But I liked Oryx as a boss better than any of the other bosses that we fought. It's just there was no damage phase, and I understand with him being a deity and the only way to damage him is to destroy the blights, blah blah blah. But to me, it was it wasn't as fun because when you were in the in between phase, it was literally you weren't doing anything. You were just hiding in a shield, waiting for him to go into his next mode, basically. And that would have been way more fun to have a damage phase on Oryx during that point in time.
Right.
But we're talking about an old raid. Let's talk about this one. So things I don't like, other than obviously the things I've talked about, drops. When Crota came around, it had all new armor, all new weapons, everything like that. There's 2 new weapons that were, and the armor sets obviously don't do anything special for the raid.
That's unfortunate. I
know, like I've been
hoping. That's something we keep talking about.
Yeah.
Hopefully they forgot about it, and with the 3rd raid layer we'll get something, or the 2nd raid layer, the 3rd part of the Leviathan raid. That's what I'm holding my hopes out for.
But I mean, it would have been perfect. Like while in the vicinity of a plate, you have more defense, or while carrying a skull, you have more mobility. Like stuff that's not going to break it, but that you can do to make it, give yourself a little bit of an edge by getting that piece of armor. So, the drops, obviously, I'm not super thrilled about because I want all new weapons. Because the weapons that we have now, you've used them, and they're that. Like once you've used the weapon, either you enjoy it or you don't. And if you don't enjoy it, then you never use it again. So
right.
like continuing to get those same type of drops is kind of but I was hoping that they would add new weapons. And I don't know why they didn't, other than the 2 that
I think it was more of development time. I would assume it is. Because I feel like these are themed after Callus. I think it's pretty obvious that these were originally supposed to be part of this raid, and then something happened. One thing that really confuses me too, it sort of goes along this. I'm really interested. I would be really interested in a raid along for this to kind of get the idea of time frame, because it's very clear that whenever you're going into the beginning of the Eater of Worlds, this happens before the original Leviathan.
Yeah.
He's thanking you for killing Gaul. He's saying that he's never met you before. He's saying that you interest him. He's saying that he has more stuff to offer you. But then when you get to the final chest room, there's Callus robots missing, like it is supposed to be happening after. So it's
my biggest thing is I want to say that some of those beginning parts were meant for the Callus raid, and they dropped them.
So maybe you were supposed to fly into the mouth of the Leviathan, and then Callus drags you out and lets you challenge him.
Yes.
Oh, and then they separated it. I like that. And maybe there's an encounter in the 3rd raid layer that was maybe supposed to be there too, and they separated it. I like that idea. I don't mind them doing that. Well, let's not, I'm not mad.
No, I don't think that they hated it to where they cut it. I think that they realized that they were going to add it.
They didn't have enough time to do full raids, and this was the smartest thing.
So
I agree with that. But I feel like if that's actually the case, people are going to be pissed. But I would rather this raid, if that didn't happen, I would not have Argos, and I am so happy with Argos. I wouldn't trade. Let's be honest. I'm pretty glad. If that's the case, I'm glad it happened.
They did a good job on the boss. Like I said, that I wish the rewards were more because that's the whole thing about in Destiny 1 that kept me coming back to raid after raid after raid, is those missing guns that you didn't have, that you could only get from the raid, and that were actually powerful and had specific special things that they did.
If it makes you feel better, the grenade launcher is a 2-shot kill in Crucible.
Well, yeah, I got the grenade launcher, but it's sitting in my vault.
Damn.
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna work.
No, I think I got both. Was it the shotgun and grenade launcher? Or,
Yep, that's both.
Yeah. So, and plus, we've talked about this before. All previous raids up until Destiny 2 had weapons and armor. All did something geared towards that raid.
Right. I think that's their purpose of calling this a raid layer. I think they were. I think the reward. Because I originally thought it was going to be the length, but now that I see that it's the same size as Crota, essentially, I'm gonna say that no, it's purely based on the rewards. Is why they're calling this a raid layer. I'm fine with it.
And I will say that it's beautiful within, like, especially when you're getting shot out of the gun. I thought that part was really cool.
Oh, that's so cool. So cool.
And like, so the first area is kind of foggy and you're jumping from platform. It's a fun mechanic, but obviously they didn't want to include draw distance, so they added a bunch of fog. But I mean, it gives it atmosphere. I will say that. The shocking part isn't very visually impressive, but the waterfall prior to that is beautiful. Or the drainage pipe.
I think honestly the shock room, I think it would have been kind of a waste to make that visually impressive.
Because no, I agree.
You're in it for like 10 seconds.
But you literally don't even need that room. It's just it's a loading area between two rooms where you could just add more running.
Yeah, I mean, and you're absolutely right. I think it's a cool mechanic.
So
can you imagine like an actual boss fight where you have to, kill like a mini boss in a room like that? But every 10 seconds, or well, maybe not 10 seconds, but like once every minute, you do have to go to a safe room, and it's up to you to keep up with it. Like there's no like audio warnings or anything. Like you can see like the pistons like starting to move. There's a visual cue, but you have to keep it. It's like your responsibility to know when you have to hide. I think that would be.
Yeah.
I think that it would be really aggravating to figure out, but I think it would be like a really solid encounter. I think that would be good. But I'm fine with the slightly, if we had to start on the same part of the Leviathan to get that amazing mouth of the Leviathan end thing with Argos, like there's the floating islands and the fire and you can see Nessus and stuff. Like I'm cool with that. That end arena totally makes it up.
Yeah, and the jumping, like you're jumping in the mouth of the ship, like to the last boss fight. I thought that was really well done.
I actually I was getting pretty cocky when I called that, because like in the video I made like 2 days before it came out, I said I think it'd be pretty cool if the final boss was a Vex that got sucked in from Venus and you had to jump between islands to kill him and kill him for Callus, and that was the final boss. That was before we had any idea there would be Vex in the raid.
I mean, you and I called it like a couple months ago that
like we knew there was going to be an encounter in there.
Well, no, we thought that like it'd be cool if one of the jumping puzzles was on pieces of
the planets in there, right?
Yeah, and so
that makes sense. But it's like, I don't know, man. Just none of, look, I'm whack. I do a lot of like deduction, and a lot of times Bungie likes to go off the wall, so a lot of my theories don't come true. But I was proud of that one. Like when Dado like made that strike design, and then the very next DLC there was a strike like that. That's kind of what I felt like. But I don't have nearly 1 million subscribers, so it wasn't nearly as cool. But internet, I don't know. That was kind of cool. But I really like. I think that if anything, I think this raid will hold up replayability really well. At least for me.
It's a quick, so especially if you have a good team, you get it done in less than an hour, and pretty soon it'll probably be like 30 minutes, and then pretty soon it'll probably be like 20 minutes after that. So
yeah,
you can get all three of them done.
If we can beat Callus in 36, we will absolutely beat this one really fast.
Yeah, so I mean, if we can get all three done within an hour, like it'll be like, but that's again, it's almost like an extended strike at that point in time, to where.
But to that, I will say, my classic argument for every King's Fall, you need a Crota's End. And I think to the King's Fall, I think it's really interesting that we used to, those were the two raids that we used to use as the extremes. And the first raid for Destiny is very similar to King's Fall in terms of like mechanics in the end fight. And then in terms of length, this one is definitely most similar to Crota. So it's like we literally got like a Crota to our King's Fall in Destiny 2. I think that was pretty cool.
Well, I see. I don't even think this one's closer. I think it's closer to Vault of Glass, actually. I think that they're going very similar paths as far as length, because we haven't hit our King's Fall yet with any sub bosses or
that's true.
Extended jumping puzzles. Because like, I guess you can call the underbelly of the Leviathan a jumping puzzle, but it's really not.
Yeah.
It's especially when you learn where you're going.
I'd say Gauntlet is probably the closest to a jumping puzzle that we have yet.
Yeah, and like King's Fall had the 2 jumping puzzles, or was it 3?
Those 2 ships and the
two sub bosses and well, I guess you could call sisters. It had 3 sub bosses, or it had 4 encounters total, 2 sub bosses.
No, 5 encounters.
5 encounters. So like
6 if you count the doors. That's my thing with King's Fall, is there's so many. I feel like
But
proportionally, King's Fall has the same amount of loot to reward ratio, or excuse me, loot to encounter ratio as this new raid has. But this new raid's just shorter, so you notice it more.
So you had loot boxes in Totems, you had loot box in War Priest, Golgoroth.
And Oryx. Sisters could give you, I think...
Sisters had a loot box.
I think it could only give you Ghost, though. Yeah, well, I mean...
No, you could get the shotgun from it, I remember.
From Sisters, really?
I'm pretty sure you could.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe.
I think it was shotgun and Ghost that you could get from it. And Ornament. You could get Ornament from it as well.
Maybe.
But, like... You almost had to have, like, I wish you could skip the encounter after you had completed it, say, like 10 times for Sisters. Because Sisters, I agree with the encounter was viable in the beginning to teach you what you needed to do for Oryx, like every other raid. So, like, it made sense that it was there, but, like, it became tedious, especially, like, that was one of the few, like, sub-encounters where you couldn't pull another player through if they got taken. Like, if they had never done it before,
right,
you were wiping. Like, it wasn't happening.
I think, and this is probably the last thing I'll say on this, is I think that's one reason I really like Axis Phase 1 and Argos Phase 1 more than Sisters. And specific, I think Argos is the best example of this. Sisters wasn't very rewarding, and it was like the same fight. Axis Phase 1 did a really good job of introducing the mechanics.
Yes.
And you could... but I think the only drops from that was a Ghost and the Artifact?
No, it had a... there was something... There was other things.
Maybe class item. You couldn't get a weapon from Axis Phase 1.
No, you couldn't. I think there was an armor piece that dropped, though, I wanted to say, but...
Yeah, it might have been the class item then.
But I mean, that was a really well done Phase 1 and Phase. That was a complete encounter.
Exactly, and I think Argos did the same thing. And my only complaint, I think Argos Phase 1 would be the epitome of the two-phase boss fight. If the first phase had guaranteed loot rewards, it does kind of suck to go through an entire raid and only get one drop. And I think Josh, we did it 3 times, like you said, on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. And I think he only got one drop every time.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that blows. Like,
yeah.
I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. I think it would be definitely in Bungie's interest to make them both guaranteed rewards, especially because those are the only 2 chests in the raid. You know, if it's something like...
the hoops chest, but that,
you don't
doesn't give you peace from the raid. Yeah.
Exactly. But with a raid like Callus, where you have 3 opportunities for optional loot, where you are pretty much guaranteed to get something from that, and then 1 guaranteed chest, it's a lot different than having 1 chance and 1 guaranteed. So I think the raid would be pretty much damn near perfect if they just made that second, or that the Argos Phase 1 encounter just be a guaranteed drop. And then I think I think that encounter's different enough from the Argos fight to introduce the mechanics of the craniums. But, I mean, it's still a lot of fun. I really enjoy jumping around, because that's more laid back.
Yeah, the fight was fun, but, like, that goes again back to my whole thing of there wasn't a bunch of new loot for the raid.
Yeah, no, and you're right.
So it's hard for them to add guaranteed drops, and then so you're getting 2 armor pieces or an armor piece and a weapon every time. So there's 2 weapons and 4 armor, because there's no ghost, there's no class item.
There's a class item.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, not class item. Ornament, like there was in Destiny 1 when...
Artifact. Yeah, right. No, I agree with that.
I'm glad you knew what I was saying. But
yeah, I think for the size of the encounter, I like if this was an Oryx size raid and we had that many loot drops and there wasn't a full weapon set, I think it would be way more noticeable. But because you are limited to the like 2 reward drops per week, I think this was a much better move.
but that's to me that bothers me, because there isn't much new loot that they added. In Crota, even though I couldn't stand the raid, you got a drop from the first encounter, you got a drop from the second encounter, you got a drop from every encounter.
Encounter, right? Yeah.
And
and that's the thing. Like, give me if they just put a sparrow, a ship, and a freaking ghost in there.
Yeah.
And give them like super low drop rates. Make it so you have to complete 1 in 25 for each of them. I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah, because they did better with ghosts, like as far as like them having special abilities in this than they did
Absolutely.
in the last game.
And just make it so like ghosts, because they're kind of, or maybe like Sparrow comes from the purple pillars. You have a 1 in 25 chance. You have a 1 in 25 chance of Ghost from Argos Phase 1, and a 1 in 25 chance of Ship from Argos Phase 2. There you go. There's your more rewarding reasons to continually grind the raid right there. But instead we didn't get any of those things. And even if they're like, I mean, the Nano Phoenix was people's like Moby Dick, man. Like, people wanted that thing so badly. And it was a reskin starter ship.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't have to make something super, super unique. Just make something look cool as hell and make it's a trophy. Like, hey, I beat Axis 400 times. You can tell because I have the freaking rarest ship in the game. You know? Like, that's all we want, you know?
I'll agree with you because, like, especially players like us that we play the raid more than your average player. Yeah, we need those things to get that are like a really low drop rate.
And that's one thing I'm excited about Christopher Barrett coming in, because I think he's going to be the vector of change for this. I think historically he's done a really good job of understanding the grind and how to perfectly implement the grind. And I think especially like I think in this next raid layer with DLC 2 in April or May, I think we're most certainly, like, I can't see us not having that stuff as part of that raid layer. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. It's all this feedback. It's going to culminate, and we're going to get, by next year, by the Taken Queen, copyrighted trademark Scarra 9 2017, we're gonna have the perfect version of Destiny 2, hopefully. Maybe.
I'm hoping.
Maybe not perfect, but we'll be walking there. You know, we can see it. It's like you're standing on the Lake Erie shore and you can see Canada, and Canada's the perfect version of Destiny 2, and we're just a swim away, you know, or a ferry ride or whatever. I don't know. I don't live in New York. This was a bad metaphor to use.
Ohio or Pennsylvania or Lake Erie.
There you go. I don't know what states, like, I have been to Lake Erie in New York, and that's the only place I've been to Lake Erie. So
I hope you didn't swim in it, because
no, don't think so.
Yeah, good. not a place you want to swim. Yeah, I live, a couple hours away from Lake Erie, so been there a couple times before.
Do you swim in it?
No. When I was a kid, yes. Now I would not even dip a toe in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, away from geography, back onto Destiny.
Yeah, that's just like, weird. Who brought up Lake Erie? What the hell?
You did. You said Lake Erie, and I'm the one that lives near Lake Erie. Like, that was weird for you to bring it up.
I like Buffalo, New York, man. That's my home. It's not my hometown, but it's like one of my favorite places on earth. So. There you go.
Yeah, awesome. But
so back to things that matter.
Well, no, it does matter. My dad
I'm Pickle Rick. We derailed enough.
But I do agree with you. Like, I really hope, because especially going into Destiny 3 in a couple years, 2.5 years, like, I really hope they're starting to learn, because it almost seems like the same thing as Destiny 1 that's happening to Destiny 2, and I really want to see them learn from Destiny 1 and Destiny 2.
Right.
Make Destiny 3 the best experience that we as players can, because I love Destiny and I want Destiny to be awesome.
My thing is, I would agree with that, but I think from here on out, I don't think there needs to be another game. I think they just need to keep adding.
I completely agree with that. I said that about Destiny 1, but
yeah, and I didn't agree with that at first.
Uh-huh.
But then there's that concept art of the Destiny 2 directory with all of the different planets. And I do say I like the core systems of Destiny 2 better. I like the new subclass system. Even though there's less choice, it feels more important. I like the new weapon system, not the static rolls. I just like, as Destiny 2, right off the bat, got more things right than Destiny 1, in my opinion. It looks prettier, all of this kind of stuff. But I think from this point on, I think we just need to stay. It just needs to stay. If they're going to do a massive overhaul, just do it to this game.
Well, and this is what I will say. Destiny 2, the first 50 to 125 hours was leaps and bounds better than Destiny 1.
Right.
It's when I hit that point, and it got to, well, what do I do now? That type of thing. And I'm in the rarity of players. Like,
right.
We're in the rarity of players. We play it more than your average player. So, like, I understand that, but also Destiny 1 had more catering to it gave systems for that, and I think they're starting to, like, they're taking steps in that direction.
Right.
I don't know how well the whole master not master rank
Masterworks.
Masterworks system is going to
If they add it to
that.
armor, if they add it to armor,
well,
boom.
give us, and I've said this twice already this podcast, give us armor that does special things, not just agility, resilience, recovery.
Right. I agree with that. And then I think another big thing would be like Masterwork exotics too.
Yes.
Would be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we talked on that for a long time, but those are the really important. That's important. We're already at 1 hour and 10 minutes. I'm super hungry, so I'm gonna run over like what's in the Dawning, and then we'll just save the main discussion for next week after we actually play it. So in the Dawning, no SRL. At least it's not been announced. Took me by surprise. I really thought there was gonna be SRL. They are adding a new armor set for each class, going to be primarily available through Eververse. We get 9 Eververse engrams for free, but then I think the main cool thing is there's going to be this new gifting activity thing that you can do once per day. And essentially you go to a planet, you complete something, and you make a gift, and you bring it back to one of the vendors, and when you turn it in, you get a gift in return. And I didn't think that was going to be like a huge thing. I thought it was going to be like a box of raisins, something dumb, like Mozolite or something. But Christopher Barrett tweeted out a sword, a Dawning sword, and he said, this is one of the things that will be available through the gifts. So if there's a whole new like weapon set, and if we can get part of that armor set, and if we can get some of the stuff from Eververse through the gifting thing, I think that would be amazing. But like bottom line, if there's a new Dawning weapon set that is only available for those 3 weeks through this activity, I think that would actually be a huge step in the right direction, because you can't buy those. That's kind of like the Her Supremacy in Destiny 1. I think that's what it was called anyways. The sniper from the activity that everyone wanted.
Or the Supremacy, I think it was, actually.
Oh, the Supremacy, there you go.
Yeah.
But no one, like, if you didn't play during the first couple of weeks or months of Destiny, you didn't have it. I want the Dawning to be the Destiny 2 version of that. And I want to have weapons that will never be available in Destiny 2 again, but they're awesome. You can utilize them. They're awesome. They look awesome. They have great perks. So that's what I'm hoping for. Also, there will be snowballs that you can throw around in strikes and do massive damage. And there will be hockey in the tower hangar. And I think that's pretty much about it. Not too much. Oh, there's a new exotic ship, Sparrow, Ghost, something else, Moat, and there's a couple new exotic ornaments for exotics as well. I think that's about it. Yeah, man. I think that's about it. Jay-Z, you're gonna play every day with me next week? We gonna gift? We gonna be doing...
I don't know. We'll see.
Ah.
I'm not. So, I don't like the look of Dawning stuff, and it looks like. So
really?
I like the samurai Dawning stuff. I like the samurai stuff. I didn't like the color schemes of the Dawning stuff previously.
Well, I have great news for you. Shaders are amazing.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, but if it's similar to the samurai stuff, like, yeah, I want to get that armor set because it looked awesome.
Right.
D1, especially the helmets and then like some of the arms, like with the samurai blades and stuff off of them.
Yeah.
But like that sword is just a rebranded Crucible sword with blue and white coloring rather than red and white coloring. So like I don't know. Well, I'll have to, if there's a weapon worth getting like that actually has legitimate good perks and feels good, yeah, I'll grind for it.
Cool.
But if it's just like same reskin stuff with crappy perk rolls like we've been getting so far in this DLC, I don't know. We'll see. And I hope they do, like, because I want to play it. Like, I want a reason to come play and grind. So
right. I don't know. I'm excited for it. New content. I can make awesome videos for everyone. Also, there's gonna be a lot of live streams hopefully, because if it's like snowball fights, like if we get a clan snowball fight going, that'd be epic. Snowball only strikes, epic. I can't wait. I'm pretty excited actually. But that's pretty much today's stream. Long one for you guys.
Yeah. Well, it's been a couple of weeks, so we needed to...
That's a good point. I hopefully everyone enjoys the feedback. We've got a lot of great feedback in chat. I'm excited to see how our opinions evolve over the next couple of weeks or months or whatever. But yeah, for episode 44, I think that's going to about do it. So I've been Scarrow9. Go follow me on Twitter at Scarrow9 if you're interested for all the latest updates on videos I'm working on. New updates to Destiny I don't feel are important enough to make videos about, when I'm doing live streams, that sort of stuff. Like I said, it's at Scarrow9 on Twitter. Obviously, you're watching my YouTube channel right now. And then, Jay-Z, do your thing, man.
Jay-Z Basketball 25 on Twitter and Xbox.
There we go. So thank you guys so much for coming out today. I really do appreciate it. Great feedback as always. But I'm hungry, so I'm going to have to go eat some food. And then, yeah, so like I said, thank you guys for coming out as always. And until next week, we'll see you next time.
Peace.